He saw her name on the calendar invite and felt his chest tighten like a fist had closed around his lungs. The CEO wanted a one-on-one performance review at 8 a.m. sharp. No assistants. No managers. Just him and her behind a glass wall that made everyone feel exposed. Daniel Reed stared at the screen in the dim light of his apartment kitchen, his 6-year-old son still asleep in the next room, and thought about all the ways his life could collapse before breakfast. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel, Kindness Stories. Your support keeps these stories alive. Daniel had mastered the art of staying invisible. At 34, he was a senior analyst at one of the city's fastest-growing tech firms, a company known for brutal standards and a CEO whose name alone made seasoned executives sit up straighter. To Daniel, she was not just the brilliant, relentless leader everyone admired from a distance. She was a reminder that he didn't belong in rooms with polished confidence and sharp suits. He belonged in playgrounds, in pediatric waiting rooms, in grocery store aisles comparing prices, in a life stitched together with overtime and instant noodles that he had become a single father 3 years ago, the day his wife, Emily, never came home from her night shift at the hospital. A drunk driver had ended more than one life that evening. Since then, Daniel's world had shrunk to 2 priorities, keeping his son Noah safe, and keeping his job. Everything else felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. His CEO, Victoria Hale, was a woman people described in headlines as visionary, unshakable, unstoppable. She had built the company from a rented office with flickering lights into a multinational force. She wore tailored navy suits and moved with purpose. Her dark hair always pulled back into a sleek knot, her eyes sharp enough to slice through excuses. She rarely smiled in public. She didn't need to. Results were her language. Daniel had only spoken to her twice. The first time, he'd spilled coffee on his tie while presenting quarterly projections. The second time, he'd stumbled over a question she asked, his mind blank under her steady gaze. Since then, he had avoided elevators she was in, meetings she might attend, even the cafeteria at peak hours. He couldn't risk being noticed for the wrong reason. He couldn't risk losing the paycheck that paid for Noah's asthma medication and school lunches. The morning of the performance review, he dropped Noah at school and forced a smile as his son waved from the gate, his small backpack bouncing against his shoulders. Daniel promised himself he wouldn't let fear control him. He would answer every question with honesty. He would accept criticism without flinching. He would not think about the mortgage. The meeting surprised him. Victoria was direct but not cruel. She pointed out areas for improvement, but she also acknowledged his long hours, his accuracy, his quiet reliability. She asked about his workload, whether he felt supported. For a moment, he almost told her the truth about the nights he worked after putting Noah to bed, about the panic attacks he hid in the restroom. But he swallowed it down. Leaders like her didn't have time for personal burdens. When the meeting ended, she gave a brief nod and said she expected to see him grow into a leadership role. The words echoed in his mind all day. Leadership. Him. It felt like someone had accidentally handed him the wrong coat. That evening, exhausted and still unsettled, Daniel's phone buzzed with a message from his younger sister, Mia. She had created an online dating profile for him without asking. He had protested at first, insisting he didn't have time for awkward dinners and forced smiles. But Mia had argued that Noah